So welcome to our Asentiv Mastermind Community support call. I'm so excited to have our guest today, Phil Burton. Phil and I have known each other for a few years, and he's been my personal Asentiv coach for the last 2 years. And he is very relational. He has, it's, I don't know why it's surprising to me, but his background, his first career was being, I guess it's called a constable. We call them policemen.
Yep.
And he also had a photography business. What is so incredible about Phil is just his warm relational techniques and how comfortable and easy it is to connect and talk with him. And he has the distinction of being one of our master coaches. So he is the coach to the coaches and has spoken and coached people on 3 different continents, at least, I'm sure. And so he's a real guy. And I just wanted all of you to be able to get a taste of Phil and see what you could learn from a master. So welcome, Phil.
Very good morning to you all. Thank you.
All right. So is there anyone that has a question for Phil to start out with? Or Phil, do you want to just start out introducing yourself, or any introduction that you want to share with us?
Certainly. The opportunity to speak with you for me is like some things happen once in a lifetime, and this opportunity is a once in a lifetime opportunity, because whatever happens, if we meet again, we'll never meet like we've done today, this sort of first time. And you may have wondered why I said to you at the beginning, before we started the recording, what hobbies and interests do you have? Because you all then flooded me with hobbies and interests, and I've written them all down. And my personal belief is that it matters not what we do for a living. To connect with people, we've got to connect with them outside of what they do for a living. If I am connected to you because you can give me referrals or you can create opportunity for me, I may not quite be connected with you for the right reason. If I connect with you because you as a person, I engage with you. And some of the things we talked about, music, I like music. I can't sing, but I do like music, Ronnie. Thank you very much indeed. I read books which are pretty sort of educational type books, but I'm not a prolific reader. But I do enjoy hiking, and Derbyshire and right up the centre of the country is where, in my younger days, I used to hike. David, I love Christoph, I love to read on the beach. So that's a good place for me, which you mentioned. And craft, I used to build model aeroplanes. So it's sort of doing something with the crafts, Diane, around that activity as well. So all of those things get us all having a conversation, because otherwise having a stranger on the call could be very quiet, because people often won't speak. So a great introduction to this to say to people, well, what hobbies or interests do you have? And what hobbies or interests will normally get some communication going. And once one person has spoken, somebody else will speak up, and they'll say something too. So for me, it doesn't matter what you do for a living. If I can connect with you personally, we can make life so much easier for one another, because I can listen out for opportunity for you, and hopefully you'll do the same for me, which isn't the purpose of this call, by the way. but it's okay. So it gets me speaking a little bit about myself. I'm married to Katrina. We have 5 children between us. The oldest is 39 with 3 grandchildren, and the youngest is 31. And in between, we have another grandchild, and we have another one on the way in November. So the numbers are starting to stack up. Katrina and I don't have any children together. They're both from our previous relationships. I mentioned my interests in fishing and orchids. As a youngster, I took pictures of aeroplanes. I lived near an airport, and my grandparents gave me a small camera, and that small camera enabled me to take pictures in the early 60s, early 70s, through that period where you took your film into the local chemist shop and they developed them, and then you went and picked them up later in the week. I'm a firm believer in opportunity for young people. I volunteered within the Royal Air Force on behalf of young people for 25 years. My belief being that educationally, some people are better with their hands than what they might be doing some educational work, and other people are not so good with their hands, but they might be good doing academic things. And for me, how can we create an opportunity where everybody is treated equally and everybody gets those equal opportunities? And for all of us on the call today, there was something in our lives that either prompted us or directed us to be where we are today. And often people will say, you know, I was 50 before I really realized what I wanted to do. And when we connect with those people and understand the person who had that influence on them, you can often hear them saying, wow, how I should have been doing this much sooner. But it takes a time to get there. So young people for me, really important. Young entrepreneurs, so a young entrepreneur could be somebody who's my age, so I'm 61, and somebody who's just setting out on their business journey. How it was for you, I don't know, but nobody gave me a business book and said, you've got to digest all of this before you open a business. And what they didn't tell me was, don't spend your own money. Because at one time I had some. And I thought the best thing to do was to invest it in my company, when now I realize that what I should have done was borrowed the money from somebody else and kept my own. But it's one of the things you learn in life as you move along. So generally, I'm about people. I don't do drama. Maile will tell you that. Drama is just something I just steer clear of at all cost. I've had my life in the past, I've had enough of people being in drama around me, and I didn't know how to get them out of it. Now I do know. And when people call me or have a conversation with me and something's going on in their lives that they don't have control of, I just focus them back on their vision again. And if we keep our vision along the way, of course, there are going to be a couple of humps and bumps and things might not go according to plan. But if we can keep the vision going and we can keep doing what makes us successful, we'll get there in the end. That's another small point. People will do things that make them successful, and then for some reason they'll change it and then wonder why they're not so successful as what they were previously. But we see that quite a lot. If you're doing something and you're getting success with it, just keep doing it. Is that a good introduction? Was that okay?
That was fantastic. It is funny. I think that last point you made is, I think it's the struggle that entrepreneurs have often, because the reason we're entrepreneurs is because we like ideas and we like to do things differently, and we want to like innovate and change, and we like those kinds of things. And so oftentimes keys to success are very boring because you do them all the time. And so we always want to reinvent ourselves and what we do. And sometimes it doesn't always work out. So,
No.
I mean, it's always good to look at what we're doing and see if we can do it better. But there's definitely some foundational truths to what we need to be doing consistently.
I mean, like the people on the call today, I don't know you. I don't technically know what you do for a living, and I'm not so worried about that, because I could ask you this question. If you had a target market client, if you think about your best client in the last 12 months, whatever that best client looked like, and we could generate a consistent pipeline of new clients that looks like your best client in the last 12 months, could you work less for more income? And that's probably a good question. Because often people are chasing.
Not only you work less, but when you are working, it wouldn't feel like working.
So if you're passionate about something, and Maile and I had this conversation before, I'm very passionate about what I do. I never get out of bed in the morning thinking I've got to go to work today, because I don't go to work. I just do what I enjoy. And what I enjoy is seeing other people being successful and seeing other people smiling, because there's so much of the time when we can't do either, or we don't do either, that when we are able to do it, it's lovely to celebrate. And being able to celebrate it, if you thought what that one person looks like, who was your best client in the last 12 months, how many of those clients would you need a month to make a difference to you? How many of those types of clients? One. Ronnie, one? Yeah.
Yeah.
So
one
for me,
client, a $4 million per client.
okay. And Maile, I don't know how it is for you at the moment, but for me, it's like one opportunity a quarter. I just need one person a quarter to go, here's the right type of person for me referred in. And that's all I'm after. Well, Christoph, what about yourself? Oh, you're on mute, Christoph, sorry.
That's not a question I've ever pondered, to just the one. I think I'm currently waiting. I was asked to submit a proposal to a biggest a client that would, if it turns out that they want me to do the work for them, it'd be the biggest ever that I had. You know, I was contacted a couple of weeks ago, and they're looking for somebody, a coach, to help them with work-life balance for their team across. I found out that there's 600 employees in 4 continents, and they got caught with, like pretty much everybody with COVID. You know, all of a sudden, people had to work remotely, and so the mission of the company is not to have the people work 12, 15, 16-hour days, but since they're, you know, so they're concerned that the people now have to adjust and pivot to this new reality, and that they're working too much. So if this turns into a client, that, you know, that would be the absolute ideal, and I'd love to have more of those, you know. So they also asked for me to submit a proposal, which I've never done in the past.
Okay.
So I had to reach out to somebody that I know to help me with that. So
Yes.
even regardless of what the outcome is, it was a good learning experience, you know, because I'm creating a proposal that I've never done before. So
I understand that. I wish you well with it.
yeah, thank you.
You're welcome. Sheila? How many clients? You don't have to be on mute all the time unless you have a reason to be. I'm not worried about that. It's okay.
Yeah, so yeah, if I can get my target client once a month, I'd be very profitable, and you know, I don't have to work so much as I have been doing. That would be awesome. I could spend more time with my family.
Okay, thank you. Brian?
Right now, I think my favorite client is the client that does multiple things with me, from starts out with their logo strategy and then goes on to their branding and then uses that to have me create their website. So by then it's a good relationship, and we have a clear idea of what they want, and they have a clear idea of what I can do for them, and it's usually a lot of synchronicity and happiness by that point. So if I could get that client twice a month, that would be great.
I understand that. Thank you. Riley, what about yourself? We often get left behind. The coaches do. People go, the coaches don't need any clients, but actually we do. It's okay.
I mean, I have a big vision, so I really want to be able to, you know, impact and help a lot of people. So I mean, with working with my bigger vision, I mean, I really would like to get 4 in a month to really build it out more. So, and to be able to help more people. So.
Joe, I remember Mike Macedino. Do you all know Mike? Do you know Mike? You heard his name mentioned, yeah. He said on one of his broadcasts, there were some traits around people who were more successful than others, and it basically sounded like this: if we could line 5 companies up who were formed exactly the same way as one another, why is one of them much more successful than the other 4? So we've got one at one end being very, very successful, and one at another end not being so successful, when the opportunity and the setup of the company is exactly the same. And what he said was, he believed there are 3 traits. And the traits were, and I remember it so clearly and vividly, one was people were in control of their calendar. That was the first thing. That was a trait of people, they were in control of the calendar. The second one was that they were always prepared. So they knew what they were doing, they knew how they were going to do it, and they'd done their preparation to be able to do that one. And the third thing, and it did make me smile when he said it, they knew what the cash flow projections were. They knew how much money they had in the bank, and they knew how much was coming. And I thought, if I added to that, being in a position where with my referral marketing plan, I could have 6, 7, 8, 9 people around me who would refer to me the one opportunity I need a month. I think that puts a big tick on the back of that. But then there's something else at play. And this is what it is. when I met Maile, I don't know how long we've known one another. It seems it's a long while. I know we haven't been that close to one another all that time, but in the last couple of years, one of the things that I believe stands us apart from a lot of other people, it's the coach having a coach. So as a business owner, we see a business coach and go, yeah, okay, do we need one? No, we'll just carry on doing what we do. Or why are they so successful? And what you'll often find is successful people will not talk about their coach. They just don't. It's just how it is. There's just this written how it is in the mind that we don't talk about them. But when somebody asks how they've got to where they've got to, someone will say, well, actually, I've got a coach. And then it's who is it? Because that's what people are interested in. So why is it in business that people tend not to have a coach? And I asked the question openly because I don't play golf, but I live about 200 yards from a golf course and the River Waveney just down the road. And I watch people there playing golf, and on the practice pitch at the moment, honestly, there are hundreds of golf balls left out there every day. I don't know who collects them, but clearly at some point somebody does, or they have a machine that does it, however it works. But here's the thing. If I've got a handicap and my handicap is say 26, and I want to get it down to 16, I hear people say, I'm going to use the golf professional to take some lessons. Okay, so that's what we do. So I spend 6 months paying the golf professional money for him to or her to coach me. And I get down to my 16 handicap. Then what do? I sack my coach. And 6 months later, where am I with my handicap, do you think? 26. I've gone all the way back to the start again. And I believe it's one of the reasons why, like with the Asentiv model, and believe me, I'm not here to sell you anything today. I'm just here to just open your mind, really, because you may know some other people who would be really good around Maile and who she could create opportunity for. But people who stay immersed in something are far more successful than people who dip in and dip out. So you will know people who have had a coach in the past, they've done all sorts of things, they've dipped in, they've taken part, and then they've stood back again. And their lives tend to be sort of pretty up and down about how they operate in the business world. But if you mix the three things that Mike said with the fourth one about having a coach, I believe there is something absolutely critical around success with those four things. And I'm looking at it. So when I'm looking at new people now, we have a questionnaire sort of thing where we take new clients on board. And one of the questions I'm always interested in is, but more so now than ever, do you have a coach? No. Have you ever had a coach? Yes. Okay, tell me about that. And when they tell you about it, they're telling you exactly what you think you're going to hear. They had some success and then they sacked them. And it's like, wow, you know, so we had some success and we sacked them. Because people who see a coach as an expense, it will always be an expense on their bank statement. If you see a coach as an investment, it will always be an investment. So when people come on board with me, whatever I'm doing with them, I'm about being cash neutral, if you like. I said to them, give me 12 weeks. Give me 12 weeks. If you'll implement some of the things we're talking about, all, I'll be investment neutral with you. I won't be costing you any money, and you'll have clients on board that you don't have on board now. But is it easy and does it come naturally to people? No, it doesn't, because people don't like to spend. But if we take the word spend out and put the word invest in, it suddenly sounds so much more different. How can we invest? How can we make a difference? We had a photography studio, 2007. I wish I'd had a business coach. I wish someone had knocked on my door, and I wish if they had done, I would have listened, because I know exactly how my life didn't go quite according to plan. Having said that, if we'd had a business coach, we would never have met, because my company in that world would have been successful, and I would not have gone down the path I went down when an opportunity came our way in 2011. So things happen for a reason. And this year, tail end of last year and this year, I've twice been to India. And I've twice delivered certified networker out there. And I've been around people who, some of them have got little choice. And by little choice, I mean they can continue to do what they do day in and day out. We could give them some money, but it wouldn't make any difference, because in the end they'd spend it. But what if we can show them how to create it? What if we can show them what they need to do to create that in the first place, and create a community where people don't have to worry about where their new clients are coming from now. All they have to do is follow a process. And following the processes like yourselves in the community that Maile set up, you are around people, like-minded people, who should, when your relationships with them are at the right level, be able to refer you what you're looking for. And it shouldn't be a task for them. They should just be able to do it in the same way as you would be able to do it for them. And what difference would it make? Huge. I've spoken a lot. I'm sorry, I shouldn't speak anymore for a bit. Tell me what you think.
Good stuff.
Tell me what you think.
Ahas and takeaways thus far?
Well, I think not only do you need a coach, but you need to have the right coach. I've had coaches before where I did not really progress.
And Ronnie, I understand that. So I think part of our onboarding process for ourselves is I will only work with people who I choose to work with. I won't work with anyone. And the people who refer people to me know the sort of person I am. And truthfully, I don't get referred people who they don't think I'm not going to get along with. Can I share a story with you there, if I may? Last Monday evening, I had a call from somebody who came to me through a website, and I found myself justifying my existence. And I actually said, Joe, I'm really sorry, I need to stop this conversation. And I said, what do you mean? I said, I don't have to sell myself. This is not the way I take on new clients. My new clients are referred to me because of where I am, the position I'm in, and what I can do for them. And if you think you can buy me, and that's transactional, and that isn't going to happen. And that's a true story. And it was last Monday evening, 7 o'clock in the evening, when normally I wouldn't answer my phone. The phone rang, and I thought, oh, I'm just interested. I could answer it because I could, and I did. And that was what happened. I found myself justifying, one, what's the first question they asked, you think? How much is it going to cost? And I thought, why am I here? And then we got into the detail of what they were going to get for their money. And it took me several minutes to realize that I just had to stop the conversation. And it's okay. But if I was in a position where I needed the clients, I couldn't do that. So if I go back to 2011, I would have had no choice. I'd have had to keep the conversation going. And that is that part of it. By the way, Tuesday lunchtime, got a text. This will make the smile. Come on board. Yeah, came on board. And I'm like, okay. It shows you, if you stick with your belief and your passion and you don't deviate from it, you will have the right clients around you. And whether your clients are people who come, they buy you or your product or service, and then they move on, it doesn't matter. Because the right people who can refer to you are out there, and they are just an arm's stretch away from you at the moment. And through Maile and what she does, you have the best person, I believe, in your region to be able to pull anything off. But we just can't do it alone. We need to do it with somebody around us who we trust. And sometimes in that trusting part, you might think, I'm not so sure about that. But I've never set somebody up to do anything other than be able to achieve. Nidra, how are you, my darling? How are you? Are you good?
I am good. Sorry I'm late.
You're okay. So what about this? At 5 o'clock on the hour, what we talked about was hobbies and interests. Can you believe that?
Oh, wow. Okay.
We're in a business forum. We're talking hobbies and interests. So I'll just give you the brief overview. Ronnie likes golf, but she was in the chorus and loves music too. Christoph likes to read when he's on a beach. Diane likes to read when she's crafting. And Sheila likes to read and also hiking. And Ronnie did share with us that she's done some fly fishing in the past as well.
Wow.
Forgot to mention that my love for travel.
Travel, yes, yeah, travel more recently, yes, yeah, no, thank you very much indeed. And for myself, I enjoy fishing and I enjoy looking after orchids.
Ooh.
So in the last half an hour, we've been talking about hobbies and interests. No, that's not true. We have been talking about other things too. But Nedra, what are your hobbies and interests?
So of course I love traveling.
Okay.
And I also love reading.
Okay, wow.
Well, it's a good thing I have plans to start an AMC book club.
Oh, good.
I think all of you will be my first founding group.
Love it.
Yes, that'll be great.
I love that.
I love what you said about the coach. Obviously, that's right up my alley.
Yes, yes.
But that's so true, you know, and you're absolutely right about it has to be a right fit. And so, you know, we all try to do something, and if you have a support system to get you where you want to go, your chance of getting there are much quicker and much easier and better than if you try to do it on your own. You know, we have all these New Year's resolutions that people take, you know, by the end of January or mid-February, they fall by the wayside, you know, mostly because we try to do that on our own. You know, people have no problem that sports teams have coaches, you know, usually several of them, or athletes have coaches. Why not when you try to build a business? So, and I love what you said about the cost versus the investment. You know,
Yes.
that is such a critical, actually, I learned that too when I had to submit that proposal. My friend helped me to, you don't put cost there, you put investment, you know, so, oh, that makes perfect sense. And hearing it from you again reaffirmed that, so.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I truly believe, I mean, my experience, because I've had coaches throughout my life, I believe in coaches, and it probably from my my dance background, the power of coaches that have impacted my life over the many years, is that it is an investment. It's an investment in ourselves, because what I personally take away from that experience will be with me forever. So I'm forever changed. It's an investment in me, in my personal and business development, and I become a better person, and I have wider skills and knowledge that I can use forever and ever. So the 2 years that I've been working with Phil, you know, if we were to discontinue, which we have no plans to discontinue, but if I were, I'd still take the lessons and I would be an improved person. So it is an investment that will benefit me for the rest of my life, right? And that's why I think coaching is an investment. So.
And I like what you said, Molly, about being an improved person, because it's working on ourselves as well as investing in our future. And that's why I signed up with you to work on my future and my business. So, yeah, it's important to have coaches.
Well, I'd also say that it's kind of, you know, being your own boss. People have so many ideas about it who aren't entrepreneurs. But they don't realize, yeah, I can control my own hours, but it's also isolating, and it can be, you know, beyond the hustle of getting clients. When I would run around town and meeting people and having coffee, I really like that. But then as far as now, it's very isolating, because even, you know, my meetings start in my office, the work starts in my office. And I kind of just realized I needed to get out of my own head and talk to other people and bounce ideas off of them, because I can bounce ideas off of my husband, but he's in a totally different field and career, and he can't give me the advice I need that I would have in other instances. So, you know, having people that I like and are in kind of the same place as me in a lot of ways, you know, at least mindset, the entrepreneur mindset, we're crazy in a good way, you know, you need that to be surrounded by that, so they validate you and help you kind of move forward, so you're not reinventing the wheel.
Got it.
Absolutely.
Sheila?
Well, I like, in addition to what everybody else has said, I totally agree with what everybody has said too. But in addition, you mentioned just having a process and following that process, and surrounding yourself with like-minded people who who think like you do and understand you, and would refer the people you need to you, and it's not difficult for them to do that. That part is what caught me, is it's not a task for them. I was writing them down, so I'm kind of, saying the same words you were saying, that, and it's at the same time, it's also not difficult for me to do it for them. So it's a mutual relationship, and that's, I think that's huge. If I could have that, that's definitely a great thing for for any, you know, for me to have, and I think for everybody else too here.
Thank you. I mean, let's have a think about 2025. It's the 13th of July, 2025, today, now. What are you going to be telling me that's happening in your own world today? We have a couple of choices. One choice is we do what feels safe, which means we continue to do exactly what we're doing today. Another choice is I want to make a difference. And Sheila said to me just a few moments ago, it would make a difference so she could spend more time with her family. Boy, does that resonate with me. I sadly, unexpectedly lost my mum back in 2014. And every time I speak with Maile, I say, how's your mum? And I've met Ronnie at a BNI meeting, and I've met her once on another call similar to this. But other than that, I've never met her. I've never shaken hands with her, never embraced her at all. But it's the relationship what carries you forwards. And if Maile said tomorrow, Philip, I've had enough, I'm gonna buy a car lot and I'm gonna sell secondhand cars. Okay, how can I help you? Because the relationship will get you to where you need to be. But we have a choice. And here's the choice. In 5 years, we're going to spend 10,000 hours working, pretty much. And I say to people, if you can give me 40 hours of your time, I will show you how you can make a difference in the next 10,000. But I can't just talk to you on a screen like this and do nothing. Because what will happen today is you might come off at the end and you might say to Maile, oh, that was really good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Can he come back and all the rest? But if we can't get people to implement, we're not going to see the outcome. Knowledge is simple. Go to a bookshop and buy a book. We can all do that. Everything that we all do, you could buy a book on it, I'm sure, and you could do it yourself. But we know if you want the professional side on it, you need to have the right person around you. And who was the first person who talked about the relationship with the coach? I'm sorry, was it Ronnie or Christoph? Somebody said about having the relationship with the coach and it being the right relationship.
That was me.
Yeah, Ronnie, the right relationship with the coach is around a little bit of firmness, but a bit of implementation. We've got to get the implementation right. And if we can get the implementation right, you're going to get the outcomes. And if you get the outcome, you'll get the choice. And if the choice is, I want to spend less time in the workplace and more time with my family or doing a hobby or interest, that's fine. So the year is 2025. It's the 13th of July, and it's whatever time it is there, 20 to 10 in the morning. We all have a choice. And today may just be that you were destined to be on this call today. 20 years ago, this call was going to happen, and none of us knew it. But now you have a choice. And the choice is a simple one. We continue what we're doing, and we enjoy our lives the way they are, but we don't move forwards. And by not moving forwards, life becomes very, very much the same. My grandfather worked in the shoe industry. From the age of 15 to when he retired at 65, he worked in a factory every day of his life, and he knew no different. He worked his way up and got to a point where he was very happy with what he was doing, but he knew no different because life was different then. And for us now, you have choice. Somebody said about going out and starting a business. Why did you do that? Probably for your family. But what did the business do to you? It consumes you. A lot of the time, businesses consume us. We can't switch off. My wife used to say, will you leave that alone? Do you have to be on the phone all the time? And there are early days when we do have to do those things. But when it starts to calm down, we get back into the choice mode again. So think about that one client that you were thinking about earlier that I said to you, if you had one of those clients a month or two a month, however many you need, but they are that client, what difference would your life look like now on the 13th of July in 2025? Because this is what it's about. We can carry on doing what everybody else is doing. We can just follow the queue and do the same. Or we can decide we're going to make a difference. I know that you have one of the best minds that there are in the States to be able to do this with, which is on the call. She's on the call. It's not about AMC. It's not about Asentiv. It's about the person herself who can get you to do something that you might not otherwise do. And doing something you might not otherwise do might just be, actually, who else can we introduce to this group? We get quite protective of the people, sometimes. They're very good for us, and then we don't want to let anybody else in. But for us to be successful in what we do, we need to have more people around us. And the more people that are around you, the more opportunity it will create for you. And when the opportunity comes, guess what? You've got choice again. And the choice is working less, earning the same, or working less and earning more, because now you've got the right type of client. There's a statistic, I'm sure you all know it. 80% of our income comes from 20% of our clients. And if you think that can't be right, just think back of your clients over 6 months and see where the money's come from, because it absolutely stacks up all the time. 80% of our income comes from 20% of our clients. So if we could increase that type of client by a few percentage points, how much more would our income increase, and how less would we need to do something? Can I share something with you? And I'm not telling you who it is, so it's not a confidential break. Talking to somebody last week, they were doing 275 opportunities a year. 275 opportunities a year. I talked to them and listened to what they were saying and said, I actually worked out that you could do 37 opportunities a year and get the same outcome. And they were like, how? Because they took a percentage of the work they did from somebody else, but they're well capable of doing it themselves. So they do 270 of this when they could do 37 if the opportunities were referred to them. What would you rather do? And by the way, the 270, 3 hours a time, minimum 3 hours a time. But if it was referred into them and they did receive referrals, they'd only need 37. So you can see sometimes you have to talk to somebody else who's looking in and saying, why are we doing that? You know, what is that all about? How can we make a difference? And just being able to make a difference by a few points, if in this next year after the lockdown and everything else has moved on, if you could have one of your ideal clients a month, what difference would it make to you? Probably, Christoph, to a point where you wouldn't be able to take new clients on. You probably would get to a ceiling where you're thinking, I can't actually cope with anybody else at the moment. I'm at my ceiling point. And for the rest of us, if we have clients who we can see monthly, or they contribute monthly to your income result, because they won't leave you. Once they come on board, they're not likely to stand back, providing they see you as what? They've got to see you as an investment. If they see you as an investment, we're good. We're good to go. And, you know, in whatever your sphere, should we just have what about this? We've got 15 minutes to go. What now if you tell me what you do for a living? That would be exciting. How's that? So we've gone 45 minutes. I've got no idea what you do for a living. So what we've talked about is the same for all of us, because we're all people. Relationships will get us to where we need to be. But I'm interested now. Go on then. Tell me what you do for a living. Sheila, do you want to start me off?
Oh, yes. Hi. I am specializes in life insurance that actually can help when my clients get sick. So it doesn't just help when they pass away or when somebody passes away, but also when they get a critical illness or severe illness. And I also help with planning for retirement and making sure that they're prepared for anything that could happen, whether, you know, it's a good thing or a bad thing, you know, that happens in life.
Okay, so Sheila, let me share with you, you are definitely an investment. You're not a cost. If people
Correct,
see,
yes.
if people see you as a cost, they're going to leave their relatives in a very difficult position afterwards. Do you do like director insurance? So if there's two directors and one passes, the other one can buy the other one out?
Director insurance, it sounds, yeah, I mean, it sounds like you call it something else, but similar to, yeah.
So my belief is every company, if they are partnerships or there are 3 or 4 directors, they should all have the right insurance. Because if one of them passes in the UK, you finish up with somebody else's partner on your board. You might not actually want to be there. So Sheila, you are definitely on the investment side. So talk investment and expense, that's great. Thank you. Diane?
Well, I own a company called Creative Solution Consulting, and I help small businesses, usually with 5 or less employees, the people who think they can't have their own marketing department, with their logo design, brand strategy, and then website.
Okay, and do I invest with you monthly or do I buy from you as a one-off?
Both. It can be both. So it can be a standalone website, and then if I maintain it, or if I create the brand strategy and then they need an email newsletter, then I can create that newsletter and create that reoccurring income. So, and keep that relationship going.
How many more clients on reoccurring income would you like in the next 12 months?
I would like, I think, for the recurring income, my goal is to have, let's see, I have to look at my goal. My goal is to have 5 newsletters going on at the same time, and I'm almost there.
Okay, yeah, really good. Thank you very much indeed. Christoph?
I'm a business and time management coach, so I help entrepreneurs with what Sheila wants to do, work less. Most entrepreneurs work way too many hours a week, but most of the time they work on the wrong things. So I help them really double up their productivity and time off, so they can spend more time. Basically, they can enjoy why they got into business to begin with. You know, they're good at something, they're passionate about something, which is absolutely fantastic. That's why I got into business myself. But quite often the business becomes the driver. You know, they become a slave to the business, and it doesn't have to be that way. So I help them with that, and in the process, they will make more money and work less. That's the bottom line.
And can I ask you, how long is somebody likely to be a client of yours?
I ask them to make at least a 6-month commitment, but it's not about me, it's about them. Coaching is a long-term process. You know, it's not a quick fix thing. And yes, we do live in an instant gratification society, but coaching doesn't work that way. So a lot of my clients stay with me for at least a year or 2. I have a client who's been with me for many years.
Yes.
So it depends. After 6 months, it just converts to a month-to-month agreement until one party decides to cancel it.
Okay, so I understand that. And in our coaching worlds, that's how most people operate. Christoph, thank you for that. Nedra.
Yes, so I am in the nutrition business. I help people with their health and wellness, and I work a lot of hours for less money, but I'm going to be changing. I'm changing that. I'm working with Maile, so I do want more business partners, and I have customers that I work with on a one-to-one basis. So my business is a MLM.
Very much indeed. Ronnie, could I ask you to share yours, and then I'll just backtrack. So I appreciate what happened. I had a conversation with Sheila, but I didn't with everybody else. So Ronnie, if you could just tell me your part, and then I'll backtrack.
I am a realtor. I'm a licensed broker, and that's what I do.
Okay. So you ensure that the home that I have is the right home?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And recently I became a partner with a young man, and it has just been wonderful with us working as a team, especially with the shelter in place and how we divide our workload and business, where it could constant communication, and it's a lot more fun.
Wow. Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much indeed. What about this? You're all in a position where you can all refer to one another. So I'm going to start off with Maile in doing what she does, ensuring that people are safe and able to operate in a way that gives them the security that they need moving forwards with a solid foundation. So that then comes to Sheila, who with her insurance head ensures that the safety of the people that are working in these environments is of paramount importance. And truthfully, she wants people to waste their money, because if they spend money with her and it doesn't pay out, that's a good investment. And when I say waste their money, I mean waste their money nicely, in that I'm going to pay you monthly for your product, Sheila, but I hope that it never pays out, because if it pays out, then I've passed. So it's that sort of thing. Diane, I need to invest with you. So part of my company, our branding, our social media, and everything else that we do is really, really important. So it's easy to invest with you too. Christoph, in your coaching world, I need you around me because I can't do it by myself. I need somebody else out there to be able to do it. Nedra, the one thing that people neglect so much is their health. And their health is one thing that we absolutely need to be on side with. And so Sheila might come across somebody who may have a health issue that you can help with through your nutritional side, which means that their insurance would be less than 6 months' time. So you're all working together there. And for all of us, if we see the right home, Ronnie can sort that for us. She can source it and get it sorted. And how simple it is on a screen like this, and where we can all easily share opportunity with one another. And all we've got to do is listen out and say to people at the end of our call, this is a very simple line, is there anything else I can help you with? Because the line, is there anything else I can help you with today, is the line that will create opportunity for other people. Sometimes you'll fall over something and there'll be an opportunity for somebody. But often, if we can't do that, one line, one simple line, is there anything else I can do to help you today? So Sheila, in saying to you, it was like a waste of money taking the insurance, I mean that in the best possible way, because it means the insurance didn't pay out. It comes to the end after 10 years, and then I have to find another one. But all told, you are around, and I've said it once, and I will say it again, you are around someone with significant influence in the coaching world that we're in with Maile, and I urge you, absolutely so. If you ever think I'm going to change, you need to call me. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, pick the phone up and let's have a conversation and see what's happening there. I'm going to close shortly, but what I'd like to do before I do that, this is always good and I'm very interested in it, I'm going to ask you one word that best describes you. So if we were in a workshop together, they're in California, and we're coming to the end now, and Phil's going to say, could you draw a business card for me? Pull one of your business cards out. And on that business card, could you write down the one word that you believe best describes you? Just think about that for a moment, the one word that best describes you. And then I'm going to ask you nicely to just jot it down on the business card and hand it over to me. So I can take your card, see what the word is, and hopefully sometime over the next week or 10 days, we'll have a conversation and we'll talk about that one word and what that word meant to you, as well as the takeaways from today. So what would your word be? Christoph, have you got one?
That's a very good question. I never gave it any thought until you asked today.
Okay.
So, one thing that came to mind is compassion.
Compassion, got it. Thank you. Compassion. Sheila?
The one thing that came to me was nurturer.
Nurturer, yeah. Thank you. Diane?
Well, it's in my company name for a reason, creative.
Okay. Thank you. Nedra?
So my word, it was also passion.
Yeah, thank you. And Ronnie?
Well, my question is, do you mean in all our life or specifically business? Because if it's business, it's persistent.
Okay.
But if it's everything, then it's caring.
Okay, so Ronnie, let me share with you. The word is caring. Yeah, the word is caring. We've had that question before. People have said, do you mean business or do you mean personal? And I said, how can you change? If you're changing, you're not the person we think you are. So you being persistent, Ronnie, just means that you keep going. But actually the caring aspect of you is what creates opportunity for you. And that's really lovely.
She's both of those things all the
Love it.
time.
Okay. Maile, what word are you going to go for?
Reliable.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah. So what about one takeaway from today? And then I'm going to close. So one thing that you've heard that you're thinking, I could speak to Maile about that, we need to implement. One thing. And I now have 180 seconds and I mustn't go over.
Okay, well, I'm going to say the vision. The vision is really important because that is your goal.
Yep.
So you need to be direct to your goal. So you have to have clarity there on your vision.
The next time Maile runs a vision workshop, a standalone one, if she'll have me, I'll come and co-deliver it with her. We'll do a standalone vision for everybody. Yeah, Christoph?
Yes, I think, that clarity, what you talked about, 5 years from now, this, if you could add one client like blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that was a good takeaway.
Thank you very much. Nedra?
So, yeah, the vision, it's so important because we have to have a vision or we will perish.
Okay. Yeah, got that one. Thank you very much. Sheila?
It's what I said earlier, the process of creating, of surrounding yourself with like-minded people.
Love it. Well done. Thank you. And Diane?
I think diving deeper into who my best client is, because I was thinking about it afterwards. And is it the best client, the one that's the most money, or is it really the person I like to work with?
Wow. Significant. A really good last word, Diane. Superb. Sometimes it's not about the money, it's about the people. It's about waking up in the morning and knowing who you're speaking to and thinking, I'm really looking forward to having a conversation with them today. Hearing their successes and whatever else is happening in their lives too. So it's been a real delight, a real pleasure. It's coming up to 6 p.m., 1800 hours, BST, British Summer Time. And it's been a real delight. So thank you very much indeed. And if you have any questions or anything else you'd like to ask at any time, just go through Maile and she'll forward it to me. It's absolutely fine. Oh, if you go looking for me on Facebook, I'll share this with you, but don't tell too many people. I came off it 2 weeks ago. 2 weeks ago. In the last 5 years, we've never picked a client up through Facebook. And all Facebook did, it took my time. I reckon 20 minutes a day, which has just given me 2 more weeks holiday a year, if I can put it into some compartment. So I'm not saying you shouldn't be on it. I'm just saying I'm not. So if you go looking for me, LinkedIn is the place to be for me. I'm Philip with 2 L's. Philip with 2 L's, because my father, when he registered my name, was asked whether he'd like 1 L or 2, and Dad said, what's the difference in price? And the registrar said nothing. So Dad said back in 1959 on the 21st of February, in which case we'll have 2, please. And that's why you'll find me as Philip Burton. What about that? Maile, thank you. It's been a delight. Been a real pleasure.
Thank you so much, Phil. Thank you. Very much appreciate you. And I do have to say, when I looked to see who was registered today, I had that feeling of I'm excited to be on this call because I love each and every person on this call. And it brings me great joy to spend time with all of you. So thank you for being here. Thank you, Phil, for your time. And I will stay a few minutes, but if you have to go, it is 10 o'clock. But if you have any other things that you want to share or talk about, I will stay on the line as long as you need me. Okay. But I am going to stop the recording. So if you weren't here live, you don't get to see the juicy or hear the juicy after stuff. So that's it. As long as I can figure out how to stop the recording. Stop recording.
I wish you